Don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to start enjoying your life. You can do that much earlier and start living a life that you love and that's true to you. Welcome to Freedom Before FI. Using FIRE and life design techniques, we help you create freedom on your way to FI instead of waiting until you're retired to do the things that light you up. I'm your host Greg, a FIRE movement and life design enthusiast. If you're itching to get freedom now, then let's do this. Hello my friend, and welcome back to the show. So we'll be continuing this mini-series about key life decisions that have a huge impact on your life and your FI goals. Today, I'll be talking about the big decision of choosing where to live. Now, the location of where you're living right now may have already been chosen for you, i.e., maybe it's where your parents chose to live and you kind of just grew up there. And of course, that's the norm. However, you may be in a position where you've been thinking about moving for a while now, or actively searching for a new location. If that sounds like you, then you're listening to the right episode. Choosing where to live plays a massive role in how you live your day-to-day life and plays a big part in your future goals too. Here are some examples why. Now, if you live in an area with a high cost of living, this could lengthen your journey to FI, as well as limit the activities that you can do in the area, because there's a lower chance that you might do activities if they're quite pricey. If you lived far from your workplace, this could take up a lot of your time and cost on the commute. If you're ambitious and you thrive being around people, perhaps a quiet village may not be the best environment for you. Or perhaps, if you're the opposite, maybe you love peacefulness and nature, but you're stuck in a concrete jungle in the city, and that wouldn't be the best environment for you and your mental well-being. Just from these basic examples, it's clear how massively important it is choosing the right location. But exactly how do we do that? So before me and the missus moved out of the city, we were faced with exactly the same question. But here's what we did. So we first started off contemplating what would an ideal location mean to us? Like, what would ideal look like? And what would an awesome day look like in this new location? We wanted to start off broad because we didn't want to limit ourselves. So the things that came up were like, it would be great to be near a beach, not too far from a mall, not too far from a park, not too far from the city centre, a warm climate, a quiet neighbourhood, someplace near nature, etc., etc. So this is a good exercise to just get the creative juices flowing. So we firstly came up with all of these ideal scenarios that we could think of. Then we circled all the factors that are super important to us, like being near family, like having a wet market nearby for groceries, having some place near to exercise, and so forth. We considered these our non-negotiables. The next thing we done was we started to get more specific and granular. We started to ask ourselves, what exactly does near mean? What does not too far mean? We started putting numbers against these things, like having a supermarket 5 to 10 minutes away and a mall within 10 to 15 minutes drive. We then listed all the places and areas that seemed to match these parameters. So these specifics helped us narrow the search and come up with 3 to 4 potential areas. The next thing we've done was we researched these potential areas against day-to-day practical things that are important to us, like rental costs, amenities, transport links, and things like that. This helped narrow down specific neighbourhoods that fit those parameters. We then physically viewed some rental units in those areas. But this was more to get a feel of the area and get an idea of the type of accommodation available in the area. Visiting and seeing the areas is really crucial at this point. A while back, when we moved to a condo unit before, we actually stayed a few nights in an Airbnb in the same building the unit was. This was to get a good feel of the place. Like, what's the people in the area like? What's the people in the building like? Is it noisy? Is there a lot of traffic around the building? What are the facilities like? Is it well maintained? So anyway, going back to our apartment hunt, we found the place that ticked most of our boxes, and it's the place we're staying in right now. So if I was to package that up into some practical steps, 7 steps to be precise, I would say step 1 would be to envision what would an awesome location look like for you. What's around you? What's the climate? It's really helpful at this stage to know yourself and what you enjoy doing. And also what your future goals are. Bear in mind, you'll be staying there for a while. So just list all of the most important factors and features of this location, like what's nearby, cost of living, weather, language, culture, and things like that. Try not to think about the country or city just yet. Focus on these ideal requirements first. Step number 2 is to filter this long list by importance. Circle or tick all the super important factors or your non-negotiables. One way to do this is to score each one out of 10, 10 being the highest. All the 9s and 10s would probably fall into the super important list. Everything else I'd say can go to your optional list. Step number 3 is to get granular and add some parameters. You should now have a list of all of your super important factors, and as much as you can, try to add some specificity to these factors. For example, if you said you wanted a warm climate, what would a minimum and maximum temperature ideally be for you? If you said it needs to be near a beach, how far away should it be exactly? You can even do a range like 10 to 20 minutes by car, for example. Step number 4 is to list some possible countries and cities based on those specific parameters. For example, your broad parameters like language, cost, culture, weather, the type of food might choose the country. Your narrow parameters might help you choose a city like distance to a coastline, distance from the city centre, distance from an airport, and so on. Step number 5 is to research these possible countries and cities. I'm a project manager by background, and in the construction world, we would always say to do a desk study first before doing a site inspection. This means, from your list of important factors, see which of these cities match your needs from a practical day-to-day point of view, like facilities and amenities nearby, the transport links, distance to your office, etc. Okay, now step number 6 is to come up with 2 to 3 location options and physically visit them to get a good feel of them. Again, in the construction world, this is when you do your site inspection. So you've done your desktop study, now you need to do your field investigation. Spend some time in the area, go to local establishments, speak to people, get a good vibe of the place. Okay, so step number 7, the last one, is the most important step. Of your 2 to 3 options, you now need to actually choose an area to do your house hunting in. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for spending your time with us today. If you need more help, you can check out our free guides and services on our website, freedombeforephi.com. If you have a burning question or just want to chat, don't hesitate to drop me an email at greg@freedombeforephi.com. If you found the show useful and want to be notified of future episodes, you can click follow on Spotify, Apple, or the app you're currently using right now. If you think the episode will help a friend or a colleague, feel free to share it with them. And lastly, if you learned just one good thing that will help you in your journey and you want to help us out, please do leave a 5-star rating on your podcast player app. That would help us out loads. Alright, so I hope that's helped you on your quest for a new place. Have a great week and I'll catch you on the next one. And as we always say, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.